It was in the late 40s, 1948, I think, and it was in Edinburgh, and I don't know, there were like a few theatre companies, like 2 or 3, that didn't get invited to the Edinburgh Theatre Festival, and so as a reaction against this sort of elitist structure, this ad hoc group formed this Fringe, and it wasn't really constituted into a Fringe festival until the 50s, and that's how it sort of came to be.
Myself and Pete Soucy and Mac Furlong decided we'd be a great idea if we could start a Fringe festival in St. John's. We had a couple of meetings and then said, yeah, geez, but it's going to be a lot of work. Better not do it, because we had other things pop up. And then Ruth Lawrence and Sharon Kavanagh got interested in the idea, so we gave them all the information that we had.
We've got 15 companies in all. One from the States, Boulder, Colorado, another from England. We also have a host coming from England, Ken Campbell. And the rest, there's 5 companies from here, and the rest of the companies are from Ontario and Montreal.
Well, I think what's exciting about a Fringe festival is kind of what's unexciting in the world of regular theatre, you see. Is basically the theatre I know in the West End of London, let's say, actually all over Britain, is I can see the tedium and the boredom in it.
I think that there seems to be a kind of a democratic feeling about the Fringe, which doesn't really usually apply in most art situations. Most art situations are sort of dictatorships, I guess. You know, there's an artistic director, and that person chooses something, or there's a you know, a gallery coordinator or someone who says this particular piece of art must hang on the wall, or this particular show will be done this year. And you know, so this goes against that and says that any single person who has an idea that's theatrical can put it on.
Fringe theater, you have to be alert all the time. You have to make sure, like you really have to take care of yourself. You don't have a lot of space or time, and you have to get in and get out, do your show. And yet, on the other hand, it's very supportive. A lot of your publicity is taken care of, for example. You meet other artists, we're all working on about the same level, we're all, you know, you meet these people who are your peers, essentially. And I find that very exciting. So it's this combination of having to be really on the ball and really focused.
I like the Fringe because it's really cool. The people rock. The air is cool. I already used cool. Oh well, there you go. I'm not a singer.
Most of the shows, you know, they're going to be, if you don't like long, boring, you know, hour and a half. Oh God, I don't want to go and see that. You can go. Look, this show's a half an hour. Great, I can see that. Then I can go and see this one. I can make that one. That's an hour long. Then I can go and see another one. Bang, 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 bang. You can get your fix.
So go out and get more. Quit the stupid job. Settle the apartment.
We need help going places that we don't normally get to, and theater can take us there. And sometimes it does take us to places that we don't necessarily really want to go. And theater can provide us with a safe way of imaginatively entering into those experiences.
It was my dad. I wasn't crazy. I went back to confront my dad, but this time I said, Dad, I know that you molested me.
I've always wanted to go to Newfoundland, and I'm so scared of saying that word. Thanks for the thumbs up. The cameraman just gave a thumbs up. But I really wanted to come here, so it was like all like, and I'm so glad I came. It's been a really good experience.
This is Ed Bowers, the director from Buck Theatre in Toronto.
Over the years, I've just met so many people from Newfoundland who have been just so wonderful to me, who carried me home, you know, when I needed carrying, and who just, you know, just opened to me. And so I've always known that I wanted to visit, and that was just one of many attractions to the whole trip. The fact that it's the first Fringe, and as Lisa was saying, the Fringe itself, the idea of, you know, a group of people coming together with works of a particular nature, not connected thematically, but everybody is doing something, you know, on the edge. We're not trying to do a Showboat or a Les Mis or something. You know, we're testing certain things, but we're also doing it in a commercial venue, so there's still a legitimacy to it. We're still saying to people, bring us your money and we will give you part of our soul.
We love the Fringe because it brings others here. We can leave a Fringe show and go have a beer.
This is Plato and Aristotle, okay, and they're in a bar. Why did Plato cross the road? Why did Plato cross the road? He said, why did Plato cross the road? Because he wanted to beat the shit out of Aristotle. Fuck off, Plato boy. You're drunk. No, Aristotle. I am not drunk. You are sober.
We just saw Andy Jones, King of Fun, and it was great. He was absolutely crazy, full of energy, lots of physical comedy, all the stuff that you expect from Andy Jones, and of course food.
I find the Newfoundland community really fascinating, and I'm just going to put this out there as my own little authorized, unscientifically proven little theory. But I feel that a lot of the arts, a lot of the good quality arts, comes from the mind of the outsider. Whether that's an outsider from a racial perspective, a gender perspective, a class perspective. Outsiders can see certain truths because of their perspective. And it seems to me that Newfoundland has always considered itself outside of something. So you're outside of Canada, you're outside of the British colony system. You know, there's always this concept of Newfoundland seeing themselves as separate. And I think perhaps that may be a really big boost for them in terms of being able to connect with their artistic selves.
I certainly always thought that St. John's was the Fringe type place anyways, because that's the kind of stuff we do here. Like, these guys were kind of brought up on it, you know? And in a lot of ways, it's sort of like create the festival around what was already happening.
Canada is really such a small place that to say coming all the way to St. John's to do a show is like not really that far population-wise. I mean, like, this whole country has about, just a little bit more people than the greater New York area. So it's like, it's like this is part of my community and I have to come here and do stuff and I have to meet the people and I have to be involved. That's important to me. Plus, it's interesting to see like the country and stuff, and it's an adventure to come out here.
Well, I've seen 6 or 7 shows this week, a real combination. I don't usually go to dance shows, but I saw some dance shows that were really quite inventive, ranged from probably 30 minutes to 40 minutes. So it was a good taste of the type of shows you can see.
I never wanted to be an actor. It's a complete accident. I was a dancer. I started out as a dancer. I was very conscious of wanting to be a dancer. I saw the Royal Winnipeg perform when I think I was 4. Just fell in love. And that comes out a bit in this play, actually, the whole wanting to be pretty, the little girl's dream of being a ballerina, this kind of stuff. And then I stopped dancing for a number of reasons, bad knees, wanting to go to school, this kind of stuff. And then while I was in university, I started doing theater. And it was one of those gradual processes, a bit of a sad story where, I realized I was doing theater, not spending very much time doing my school. And I realized that's what I'm doing, I'm acting.
It's a way of surviving, and it's a kind of behavior that people seem to approve of, and definitely, there's a sense that that when you do it well, people are very supportive, and ultimately I can make a living at doing it. And it happens to be a very enjoyable thing when it's going well, and an extremely miserable thing when it's not going well. I tend to like highs and lows. I tend to, just in personality, I tend to be that way. So, I like going for an intense thing, short term, and then a short burst.
I do believe that with theater, it's something that it is a commitment, and it's something that you have to put your heart and soul into in order to make it work, because it's so unstable and unpredictable. You've got to make it happen for yourself. And I think it's important for people to do that who want to do that, because it is a place for storytelling and for sharing. And if it's done right, what a sense of, you know, of humanity and the connections that you make with people are like nowhere else, because you're giving yourself. You're raw, you're vulnerable, you're open.
This is Michael Hickey, this is Taya Maresh, and I am Bill Hines.
Hi.
And we are with Romeo and Juliet.
When something so distant, feel something so right. When something so distant, as you are tonight. Not knowing what to do, never knowing what to say. Wanting to share what's true, to find a perfect way. I don't know
Well, first of all, I'll say it's something that I just kind of have to do. I don't really think about it, I just do it. And once I get an idea, like just a seed for something, I have to turn it into something. I really want to explore it. I'm a very curious person by nature, I think, in everything that I do. I always ask too many questions, sort of thing. So getting an idea for a piece of some sort makes me do that. And then, well, I'll tell you my story about happiness, because it seems to me there's the being and there's doing. And I have to be doing because I'm afraid that if I'm happy, or maybe it's content, then I'll just be, and I'll move to the country and shoot skeet and eat chocolate cake all day. However, in the meantime, the actual doing on a daily basis in a moment-to-moment place makes me happy for that moment, but not on a long-term place. It just makes me happy in the moment, and there's nothing like performing. Like nothing in the world like performing. Great sex doesn't even come close.
Mind your own business, Henry.
I just want to get to know
Well,
you.
you can't. I don't want you to know me.
I slept with you. I deserve consideration.
Why? Why should you get consideration? Because you boinked me?
Because I made love to you.
You had no idea who I was when you were fucking me. You got your tail, Henry. Had I known not your belt.
No, I asked the questions. I heard you respond. I had a good idea of the woman in
You
my
had no
arms.
idea. Maybe you had some fantasy, but you didn't know.
I had no fantasies. I went in with my eyes open.
It's impossible. We just spent 6 hours
It's
ago.
not possible to get to know someone in such a short
Oh,
period
it
of
is,
time.
it is, it is, and I want you to go, Henry. Go. Go.
One more?
No, go.
I'm just bossy. I find life works a lot better if people just do what I say. It goes so much smoother. And then they lock me in the trunk and go off and do what they want.
He's not kidding.
I had never, well, I don't know if directing is sort of a new trip for me. This is only the second time I've directed outside of a classroom workshop situation, which was years ago. This happened because I know the playwright, and he was a friend of mine, and I thought it would be a fun piece. But going back to early childhood, growing up in a small town, I was just always, I was always sort of listening to the radio and watching TV about places far away. And I always had this fixation with New York. And when I got into my teens, I would listen to, for some reason, we got New York radio station better than we got anything else. So I would listen to all the Broadway reviews. And, you know, I just sort of always knew that I wanted to be involved in the business somehow. And I got into it. I was in for 10 years or so when I was younger, and then I got out of it completely until just recently I've decided to come back in again. And this is sort of like my first, if you want to call it a career move, to test the waters to go back into it.
Sharing in the excitement, I live through what my actors are doing on stage. It's exciting for me to jump into the process and join them in what they're doing. And when I see it on stage, it's just a great culmination of a lot of energy that I've been able to produce. I guess it's, you know, the whole, you know, mothering sort of produce a child kind of thing. In some ways, you produce something that you put work into, and well, it's not just work in the theater, of course. It's passion and it's heart and soul, and you know, we give most of ourselves to what we do. And you know, when you see the success of that level of commitment, it's a tremendous experience that cannot be duplicated anywhere else, I think, in the world of work.
I have to control everything. That's the main reason, because like if you're an actor or anything else, it's like you have no control over the way things have to be. And I guess in a certain sense I'm a perfectionist, and you know, and I have a lot of faith in my own vision, being basically an egotist. So so it's really important for me to direct.
I love the Fringe because it's fun.
Do-da-do-da-day.
I'm really glad there's been lots of sun. Can't think of anything else that rhymes. I hope people here have had a good time.
Do-da-do-da-day.
And I hope lots of them come see our mine.
Sure, I'll play one of your meatball games, Ernie.
Oh, this is not a meatball game, Bert. It's about a sandbox. You see, I won the sandbox.
I don't understand why I do this.
No, I two the sandbox. You say I two the sandbox.
I two the sandbox.
I three the sandbox.
I four the sandbox.
I five the sandbox.
I six the sandbox.
I seven the sandbox.
I ate the sandbox.
You ate the sandbox? How did it taste, Bert? Good night, Bert.
Bert and Ernie.
Of course.
Are idols in theater and film. That's a great question. Never really thought of those.
Wow. For me, growing up, I know at a very early age, Monty Python was force-fed to me. Well, it wasn't really a force feeding because I loved it. So I would say the Monty Python people had a big effect on me, and also Spider-Man.
Just, I'd have to say, and I'm really thinking about this, and I'd have to say the Muppets, and I'm not just saying that, but the only people that come to my mind are Ernie and Kermit the Frog. That's what I watched incessantly. It wasn't until a couple of years ago, like, you know, when I was 16 or 17, where I really opened my eyes and started to really pay attention and think about, you know, actors, the hands inside the Muppets.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and also John Ritter, Three's Company.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
I can't say that there's people that have been mentors to me, and that's a very interesting issue in my life, is that I found that I've gone at it on my own, and I think possibly my role is to be mentor to other people.
Well, my grandfather, I lived with my grandfather, he was in denial for the longest time, thinking I was going to be a teacher or a lawyer or a doctor or anything else. And then when I got accepted to go to the National Theatre School in Montreal, where I went for directing, the first person I told, he was rather taken aback. But then he realized what a great step it was and what an honor to be part of that school. I mean, only one of 4 students across Canada. And then he started thinking, okay, well, maybe it's not so bad. Maybe you'll actually, you know, make something of yourself. And ever since then, he's been a huge support.
My mom has been a big supporter. She has a pizzeria here called Pizza Perfecto, and you go in there and she's got a whole wall of everything I've ever been in there, so that's the first thing you see when you walk in. But my parents weren't that worried about it because I actually have a degree in commerce, business administration. That's what I just graduated with, so they're happy because I did that first, and I mean, that's what I chose to do myself. They didn't pressure me, but because I have that, they're secure that no matter what I want to do, I'll make a go with it, and if I don't make a go of a life in the theater, then I have something to fall back on, but we will.
I've been away from home now for 12 or 13 years, and it took about 10 of those years before I realized how I'd actually suppressed my whole identity as a Newfoundlander, that is a real identity, that there's a way of speaking and a way of expressing myself in a kind of cultural, I wouldn't want to defend this too much, but this is a very emotional or intuitive feeling about it. I guess part of me had taken in what a lot of my teachers had said, which is that if you're a Newfoundlander like that, you're ignorant. You're ignorant. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't sound like a Newfoundlander. And you're silenced from a very young age. If you can talk like a mainlander, then you're smart and you get, all kinds of kudos. And I had actually internalized that really severely. And it wasn't until I played a character in Ontario who was a Newfoundlander an incredible amount of emotion was released. I've always, when I'm being very tender or very angry, this accent comes out. And so I think that says something about where my identity as a Newfoundlander lies in my emotional center.
Living in Newfoundland is just fantastic. I consider myself a Newfoundlander first, Canadian second. It's where I grew up, but beyond that, there's something special about Newfoundland that just, you can take the actor out of Newfoundland, but you can't take Newfoundland out of the actor. But this year has been kind of an eye-opener. This year, the Cabot year, there's so much hubbub. People are really expecting a great year, and it's kind of tempting. It's like, wow, maybe I could continue doing this, making a life in the theater in this city. But at the same time, there's an urge to go away, to get out, and again, open yourself to a larger and a fresher audience.
Definitely. Yeah, I think it's a seasonal thought, actually, about leaving. It's, you're going through the winter and it's like, man, maybe I should get out of here. And then the summer comes, like, hey, it's not so bad.
I left for the experience, I think. St. John's, although it's a wonderful place, it's a small place and can be limiting if you don't allow yourself the opportunity to experience new and bigger things. And so that's probably why I left. I wanted to go away to school. That was important to me. I wanted to experience living in a big city like Montreal, and that experience was important to me. I think it was a good one too. I wanted to speak French regularly. And I guess sort of all of those experiences, I just wanted that experience. And being away for that many years, I just began to miss home. There's a uniqueness to St. John's. Every person from Newfoundland that I meet when I'm not in Newfoundland, really miss it or have a definite connection to it. And I think that is something to be said about St. John's and Newfoundland. And I was ready to come back. I was really ready to come back and be part of the arts community here and to contribute to it. And I also just missed the place,
There's no doubt about it that I constantly go back and draw from, from stories, stories my parents told me, and the great mythology that is like through all of our consciousness in Newfoundland.
I am a Canadian. There's a big part of me is here. I don't think I would be doing what I'm doing today if it wasn't for Newfoundland. I really wouldn't. If I was anywhere else, I wouldn't have had the opportunities.
Let's see, slinging hamburgers. I had this great job with insoles in a factory once. Office jobs, just runs the gamut. And every once in a while you get those gems, which are actually involved in the theater and you're actually making some money. So.
I worked for an insane Finn who ran a Victorian bedding factory in Toronto. That was fun. I was a waitress. I'm a very bad waitress. I waitressed a little bit. The sort of crowning. The last time I waitressed was I lasted 3 days at an Italian lobster place somewhere out in Mississauga, and I managed to send an entire tray of salads just right across the floor. And it was the first time I'd ever heard anyone. I just moved to Toronto, and the head waitress said, "Mamma mia." I'd never heard any. I didn't think people said that. And I've been an usher. I'm still an usher. Oh my God, worked in a library for a while. Waitressing was the highlight.
The most fun one is the life modeling. I get to get naked. I get to take off my clothes for lots of people and stand there, and they get to draw me.
I've done that. I also do conventions. I do silly things like I head in the table, I stick my head through a table and talk to people at conventions and they scream. Or just go to parties and act like a statue, just stand there, not moving, while I get to listen to people sitting around a dinner table talk about a gazillion different things. Those are the more interesting jobs. The more boring jobs, like what I referred to before as the warehouse job, which is the one that pays the least, but I can always go back to that, and quite frankly, I can always walk away from it too, and I have on several occasions.
Dishwasher, cook, pastry assistant, character in a mall, you know, you dress up in a mall. I played a Easter rabbit in a mall for a while. Clown, clothed artist model, janitor, all kinds of things. Singer, I mean, you know, anything that comes up, I'll do.
If all anyone does is goes to their 9-to-5 job, sits down, sharpens pencils all day, pushes pencils, whatever, they need to have something to lift them up and out and beyond the realm of the everyday. And essentially, I think partly that's what these sort of art forms hope to achieve. I also think we've got a terrific vehicle to make people think, to make people aware of, to show things that people want to push away, hide under the rug, that sort of thing. So I think it's an important just form of expression to keep happening, and it reflects so much of, especially in the Canadian culture, where we're not so sure of our own identity. I think it's important that this stuff keeps happening, keeps getting pushed out there, people keep finding and looking.